Hi, this is Sally's Book Club, bringing you the best global reads every day. Today I'll discuss the Chinese edition of Peak Secrets from the New Science of Expertise. This 170,000-word book will be distilled into a 20-minute essence. How to transform from novice to master through deliberate practice and take control of your life. Success never comes from blind luck. No one achieves success without dedicated training. As ancient wisdom says, heaven rewards diligence. With enough effort, an iron rod can be ground into a needle. Heaven never disappoints the determined. Endure hardships like the Yu warriors who reclaimed their kingdom. If you've experienced China's college entrance exams, you know this truth deeply. Yet top achievers remain the minority. You might wonder, wait, isn't practice just about repetition and hard work? The 10,000-hour rule is fundamentally flawed. We used to firmly believe that 10,000 hours in any field guarantees expertise. By that logic, Zhang San, in finance with 10+ years experience, should excel.
So why do many still struggle? The harsh truth, mindless repetition. For 10,000 hours never creates mastery. The ultimate career fear. Living an ordinary life while pretending it's noble.
This book challenges the sacred 10,000-hour rule, while diligence matters. True success requires more than just hard work. Studying top performers across fields revealed a golden principle: deliberate practice, the ultimate method for skill development. From novice to master. Greatness isn't innate talent, but a learnable skill. This technique, accessible to all, is humanity's most powerful learning method, discovered to date. But you might protest? Doesn't some brilliance come from natural talent? Those born with extraordinary gifts. The Mozarts of the world. Did Mozart really need deliberate practice?
Others say, I'm already an adult. Too late for deliberate practice.
Let's consider an example. Young Zhangyi, nearly 60, was tasked with translating Don Quixote, fluent in English and French, but knowing no Spanish. The editor allowed, using existing translations. After comparing English-French versions, she decided to learn Spanish from scratch. Daily persistent practice. 3 years later, she produced the definitive Chinese Don Quixote translation, still authoritative today. How did Yang Zheng master Spanish in her 60s? Within years. Why do most fail to read originals or converse after decades of English study? The subtitle From Novice to Master reveals solutions through true deliberate practice. How deliberate practice enables self-improvement and life transformation. Make deliberate practice your lifestyle. Become a successful practice person. Co-authored by psychologist Anders Ericsson, deliberate practice pioneer, and science writer Robert Poole. Robert Poole, acclaimed STEM writer, former editor at Science and Nature journals, author of hundreds of academic works. With background established, let's delve into the content. Now, I'll detail the book's key concepts. The book addresses 4 core questions. First, deliberate practice is purposeful training beyond naive repetition. Second, how deliberate practice rewires brains and builds mental representations. Third, evaluation principles of deliberate practice. Fourth, the 4 stages to expertise through deliberate practice. Let's explore the first key concept, defining deliberate practice. 1. Deliberate practice is purposeful training with 4 key characteristics. First, clearly define specific goals that effectively guide your practice. Start with targeted short-term goals. Accumulate small victories to reach long-term objectives, like building steps towards a 1,000-mile journey. Example, student, in the number, memorization experiment started with immediate short-term goals, adding 1 digit each session to achieve measurable progress. Second, maintain intense focus. Progress requires complete concentration on the task. Demonstrated exceptional focus from the beginning of the number memorization trials. As the digit sequences lengthened, her concentration naturally intensified. Third, require feedback. Featured identifies weaknesses and measures progress. In Wa's experiment, immediate feedback after each attempt helped pinpoint areas needing improvement. Whether successful or not, adjusting focus and methods based on feedback is crucial. Fourth, leave comfort zones. Challenge yourself with new difficulties through deliberate practice. Without pushing beyond comfort zones, improvement is impossible. Case: Lole, an amateur pianist, playing the same pieces identically for 30 years. Despite accumulating thousands of practice hours,
her skills never surpassed and possibly regressed from her teenage level.
Now observe. 2. Deliberate practice transcends ordinary purposeful training. The key difference between experts and top performers lies in accumulated training time. Top performers invest the most time in purposeful practice. However, deliberate practice requires more than just time investment. First, it needs established fields where expert performance distinctly surpasses novices. Second, deliberate practice requires mentorship with assigned tasks. It's guided, purposeful training. It requires understanding, development directions, and achievement pathways. The book outlines 7 characteristics of deliberate practice, summarized here as 3 core features. Now, condensed into 3 key aspects. 1. The skill must have established improvement methods validated by experts. Training occurs beyond comfort zones, constantly challenging current capabilities. 2. Requires well-defined goals and structured plans from mentored, achieving incremental improvements. Deliberate practice involves active adaptation beyond following instructions. Therefore, it demands immediate feedback, integration, and self-regulation. Students must develop self-monitoring capabilities through feedback. 3. Develops effective mental representations that interact with skill improvement. Focuses on specific aspects of previously acquired skills for targeted enhancement. Mentors provide foundational skills, enabling advanced relearning at higher levels. 3. Purposeful practice differs from naive repetition. Most people acquire basic skills through initial learning and repetition. Begin with basic understanding from various sources, then practice to acceptable levels.
Once mastered to functional level, Satisfaction prevents further progress.
However, plateauing occurs when skills become automatic and comfortable. People often misinterpret this stagnation. Examples: tennis, driving, baking, believing. Mere repetition guarantees improvement. Reality shows the opposite. Once skills become automatic, continued practice yields no improvement. Without deliberate improvement efforts, automated skills gradually deteriorate. This mindless repetition expecting automatic improvement is called naive practice. First, concept recap. Deliberate practice requires purpose, focus, feedback, and leaving comfort zones. Deliberate practice transcends purposeful training, while naive practice stagnates through repetition. Now to the second key concept. Why practice deliberately? 1. Deliberate practice reshapes brain adaptability. Growing evidence shows brains physically adapt to mental training, like muscles to exercise. This neural adaptation mirrors cardiovascular responses to physical training. Scientists studied London taxi drivers' brains to understand training-induced changes. Why choose London taxi drivers? London's labyrinthine streets feature curved thoroughfares, ownways, and dead ends. Central London's bridges crossing the Thames add navigational complexity. The city's eccentric address system often confuses even locals. Tourists should trust taxi drivers over GPS in London. Even with vague directions, drivers demonstrate extraordinary mental mapping abilities. Scientists' deep study of London cab drivers reveals how training affects the brain. First, the brain grows like muscles with exercise. A University College London neuroscientist used MRI scans comparing 16 cabbies' brains with 50 non-drivers, finding larger posterior hippocampi in cab drivers. Longer driving careers correlated with larger hippocampal regions. Comparative study. London cab drivers vs. bus drivers. Bus drivers follow fixed routes for years. Cab drivers showed significantly larger posterior hippocampi than bus drivers. This clearly shows brain changes correlate with training intensity. Second, the brain has limitless adaptive capacity. This neuroplasticity allows neural rewiring, what neuroscientists call cortical remapping. Sufficient practice repurposes neurons for specific tasks. Example: most blind people's visual cortex remains active despite optic nerve damage. The brain denotes neural pathways, observed through Braille readers' MR. Eye scans showing visual cortex activation. In sighted people, visual cortex processes eye inputs. Blind individuals, visual cortex processes tactile, Braille information. Third, challenging comfort zones creates greater neural changes. The body craves homeostasis beyond normal limits. Without continued challenges, the body maintains equilibrium. Though achieving new homeostasis, improvement stops without continuous challenges outside comfort zones. Greater challenges induce larger neural changes, but avoid overexertion. Learning new skills triggers structural brain changes more effectively than repeating known material. This learning surpasses mere repetition of mastered content in efficiency. However, excessive pressure causes burnout. The brain adapts best near but beyond comfort zones. Fourth, long-term training alters brain regions related to specific skills. 3 considerations. Early training yields greater neural plasticity in youth. Secondly, there's a developmental cost. Hyperdeveloping. Certain skills may cause regression elsewhere. Finally, neural changes require maintenance through continued practice.
Discontinued training leads to skill degradation.
Summary. Brains adapt through challenge and sustained training like muscles. Second key point. Deliberate practice builds mental representations. First, what are mental representations? Representations are cognitive manifestations of concepts. Mental structures corresponding to objects, ideas, or information. Concrete or abstract. Example. The Mona Lisa image in your mind is a mental representation. Deliberate practice enhances these cognitive blueprints. Everyone uses mental representations. Even basic skills like walking require them. Second, benefits of mental representations. First, benefit pattern recognition. Experts discern patterns invisible to novices. Simply put, masters see forests where others see trees. For example, skilled soccer players predict teammates' moves through enhanced pattern recognition of game dynamics. Second, mental representations help interpret information subconsciously, aiding processing and decision-making. Example, recognizing cat as cat through encode phonetic and visual associations. Third, they organize related information. Experts assimilate data through interconnect cognitive frameworks. Expert doctors synthesize symptoms into diagnostic patterns, unlike medical students. Fourth, facilitates strategic planning. Better representations enable efficient action blueprints. Example, experienced surgeons mentally rehearse procedures pre-operation. Finally, enhances learning efficiency through skill representation synergy. Strong mental representations enable self-correction during practice. Summary. Deliberate practice reshapes brains and builds cognitive frameworks for pattern recognition and efficient learning. Now to the third key concept, implementing deliberate practice. How to conduct deliberate practice. First, adhere to core principles. 1. Maximize application of deliberate practice principles. Apply these principles wherever possible in your field. 2. Identify top performers and emulate their methods. Analyze differences between experts and average practitioners. Let these distinctions guide effective practice strategies. Persist with effective methods. Abandon ineffective ones by mimicking top performers. 3. Integrate practice into work through real-world application. Develop feedback systems and skill-specific training plans emphasizing practical implementation. Fourth, apply deliberate practice principles in daily life. This method empowers dreamers. Sufficient time investment makes anything possible. 1. Find experienced mentor for observation and feedback. Consider changing mentored if progress stagnates. 2. Maintain intense focus and commitment during practice. Effective skill development requires methodical concentration. Ensure adequate sleep for optimal practice focus. 3. Mentors are valuable but not mandatory. What if no mentor is available? Deconstruct skills into components. Analyze weaknesses and narcotic expert patterns. 4. Sustain motivation through habit formation. Dedicate at least one focused hour daily for skill improvement. Strengthen commitment factors while minimizing quitting triggers. ON's perseverance. Through self-belief and support systems, establish protected practice time to reduce quitting likelihood. Third principle, summary. Maximize deliberate practice through emulation and integration. Seek mentor feedback while maintaining intense practice focus. Without mentor, study top performers and persist through trial. Final concept. 4 stages to expertise through deliberate practice. Stage 1. Sparking interest. Childhood curiosity and interaction initiate passion development. Parents crucially nurture values like discipline and responsibility during this phase. Gelker influence also contributes significantly to early development. Stage 2. Committing seriously. When potential emerges, future experts seek professional coaching. Though parents mentor motivate, internal drive sustains progress. Higher-level mentor needed as skills advance. Stage 3. Full immersion. Future experts typically require intensive training between ages 12-16 to reach elite levels. Skill regression often stems from reduced practice, not aging itself. Consistent practice maintains skill levels regardless of age. While physical adaptability declines, mental plasticity remains strong. Stage 4. Innovation. Masters become pioneers in their fields. True innovation builds on accumulated micro-improvements through deliberate practice. What outsiders perceive as breakthroughs are actually incremental progress. Mastery originates from sustained, deliberate practice. Genius emerges through years of systematic refinement. No shortcuts exist. Sustained effort creates exceptional abilities. Recap, interest, commitment, immersion, inmoverschaint. This concludes our exploration of deliberate practice principles. Summary. Transforming from novice to master through deliberate life design. Key concept 1. Deliberate practice as purposeful training beyond comfort zones. Transcending naive repetition through feedback-driven improvement. Naive practice differs fundamentally through lack of strategic focus. Key concept 2. Why deliberate practice matters. Brain adaptability through targeted challenges. Neural muscle building. Infinite neuroplasticity through sustained boundary pushing. Key concept 3. Equiplation through principle maximization. Emulate top performers through work-integrated, deliberate practice. Seek mentor for feedback while maintaining intense practice. Focus in daily life. Without mentor, study experts and persistently apply deliberate practice principles. Finally, the 4 stages to expertise development. 1. Spark interest through engaging interactions. 2. Commit seriously with professional coaching. 3. Full immersion with dedicated effort to achieve mastery. 4. Immersion requires deliberate practice foundation. This concludes our exploration of peak secrets from the new science of expertise. Find key takeaways below until tomorrow.